my sister Naomi. Good afternoon.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Yeah. So this interview has been long overdue, should I say? Yeah. So we're here today. We're gonna talk about a couple of topics. Yeah. So yeah. So tell us a bit about yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was born in Manchester.
Yeah. Most side.
Not quite actually. I was
Okay.
born in Withington.
Okay.
We lived in Fallowfield,
All right.
but I've literally been around my side for nearly all of my life.
Okay. Okay.
Ventured over to part of Yorkshire for a while,
Okay.
Leeds, and then came back.
All right. All right. So, but you're born.
Yeah, I'm a born
Mancunian,
Mancunian.
yeah.
I'm a born Mancunian. I'm never pushing that away.
Yeah, original, yeah. So so what does Sister Nayo? What do you do at the moment? Like, what are you about? Like, cause I know you're someone in the community who are involved in more than one, to say, projects or development, whatever it is. And I've seen you on the news talking about, education at home with the kids. In fact, let's start on that topic.
Okay.
Education at home. What tell us about how did you come to that decision?
Right, well, it all came about more or less during the COVID. I thought about doing it years ago with my daughter. Now, my daughter was very advanced in her reading.
Okay.
She was going through the whole of the Chronicles of Narnia and Enid Blyton's Enchanted Wood series,
Yeah,
etc.
yeah.
At school, they couldn't find books that were to her reading ability.
Wow.
So she'd gone past year 6. This is when she was in primary school.
Okay.
So they put her on free readers, and she came home one day with a book that was talking about two men that had an elephant. They'd all gone to bed together. The roof had blown off. My mind, I'm a conspiracy theorist. I'm a big conspiracy theorist. If people say don't believe it, I'm digging more into it.
Yeah, just to see.
So yeah.
Curious.
So
yeah.
the case is that I just started thinking all sorts, and I'm thinking, well, why is she coming home with a book like this? I went to the school, and this was a local community school, and I said to them, I had a meeting with the head teacher. I gave him the details of the gifted scheme. So there's a gifted scheme, Young and Gifted. Now, the government will pay for extra tutors if you have so many children that are working above the national set level, the national curriculum set level, and you can get that extra tutor in, and you get funding as well.
So I don't cut you there, yeah, but that sounds like very interesting information that a lot of people might not know.
Yeah.
So what do you say? If you've got kids that's advanced in a certain level, more than one kid.
Yeah, if you've got kids that are more advanced than the level that the school is saying that they should be at, or the curriculum is saying that they should be at, then your child might be eligible for the gifted scheme. I'm not sure if the government still does it at the moment, but they used to have these schemes, and if you look into it, you'll find it'll be there on the internet. It's always there on the internet. They have these schemes where certain people will fund the school to have a child that's excelled out of that area or out of that community or whatever. Yeah. So a lot of people that don't know about these things, and I was lucky enough to have found out about that at the time. I gathered all the information. I took it into the school. They made an appointment for me again, and when I went there, they gave me a package with a load of places that I could get loans on to put my child into a private school. They'd chosen against going with the information that I'd given because there were other options that were bringing in more money or accumulating more money for the school. For instance, ESOL classes, etc. They bring in more money than, say, a gifted course would bring in. And those things there, how I saw it is those things there are just keeping the community at a low average. You're keeping us on a low average by making it look like we don't have people here that are gifted and that surpass that level. And then that makes the people in the community think that they can't surpass that level. So then it makes them start doubting themselves in everything they do, and then they don't do the best. They just do what's expected. And we end up in the same situation that we are here now. So you say I'm in the community more, and I think that leads into it. I am in the community more because I was born into this community, I grew in this community, and I've seen the schemes and the things that have happened and the programs that have been put in place for children. I've watched what have happened to people my age, people the ages over me, and I've seen how that's disintegrated for the ages below me. Now, what I see is that whatever it was that was happening clearly wasn't working for so much of my generation to have gone astray after these things had been put in place. It's a question of looking at what it is and seeing how you can expand on the things that actually did work rather than keep going with the things that didn't.
So yeah, it's a good way to put it. But I think I'll come back to that on the next. But what I would like to ask you is, so when you gone now in the pandemic and you've took your younger ones now, and you've started to home educate them, how did you find that for you? And then more importantly, how was it for the kids? Because how did they take it? How did they seem to do it? You know what I mean?
Well, at first it seemed like an adventure. At first it was like, oh my gosh, I literally felt like Superwoman. Like, I'm managing to get him to study how many subjects within one day. He's actually enjoying these lessons. I'm seeing the confidence in him growing. I'm seeing him being proud to be able to tell people how much he's learned in that day or in that week. And that was making me think, wow, you know what I mean? I'm Superwoman. And then it became... it started getting a little bit weighty. I started realising I never actually ever had time for me because I'm mum, I'm teacher, and then when it was shut down time, bedtime, I'm knackered. I can't even do everything that I'm trying to do for my business and these things. I was just exhausted. And so then I started reaching out, and other parents started were saying they were feeling the same way, like it's a bit of a weight. But by this time there was the COVID, there was the segregation pandemic, so we couldn't really do anything. We were all on lockdown, so we couldn't really go anywhere, and there wasn't many things out there to do. So we started doing lessons online and sharing them.
Okay.
And then that opened the network again. More parents were talking about the struggles that they were having. Other parents were able to assist them in how they can combat that, and it just became a huge network, which grew into HE Together.
So now, how is it now?
Now it's now we're stabilising again. We've been up and we've been down. There was a point where I noticed that my son was feeling quite lonely in his area because everyone's at school when he's not. So what we started doing is travelling to other cities where there were other people home educating as well, so that he could have a lesson with them in another city, and that's like an adventure again, so it makes it exciting again. And then little things like his hair was an issue at school, it was a big issue.
Because I've seen something on that where basically he was being interviewed about and he was telling, was it on the BBC?
Yeah, that was with BBC.
Yes, and you said there was an issue at school because the teachers used to give you examples of what they think his hair should look like, which was basically
3 Caucasian boys with crew cuts, different style crew cuts. Now, Afro hair will never go into a crew cut. It's not possible for it to happen like that.
Yeah, but at the same time, what about his belief?
Well, they were for me, how I took it was the school was a Roman Catholic school, so that school was stating what its belief was already. But even in that belief, that shouldn't discriminate against my child learning in that school.
Exactly.
His religious beliefs are no different to that of the Roman. Well, some of them are a little bit different.
Yes. I know. I don't. It can be.
But generally, on a whole, when it comes to learning with other people, when it comes to diversity and being around other people, the same moral is there. It's a caring method that's supposed to be being put out there. They're supposed to be running on a Christian method, so that's supposed to be a heart-filled method. You do unto others as you would like to be done to. So on my thinking, that was their thought process. I then asked why the teacher wasn't educating the children that were picking on my child, because what I see this is bullying. You've now told me that it might be easier for me to get his hair cut rather than him being bullied and called a girl because he has locks. Now, I see it that you've been trained, you've actually been paid to be trained, because teaching is the only profession where you actually get a grant to go and study. So you don't have to pay that grant back as well as, other people that are studying different subjects. You have no extra weight on you doing this job now, you're going into this job to take on and teach. That's what you're supposed to be doing. If you're going to be encouraging a bullying method of I should cut my hair to make it easy for these children that don't understand that people with long hair can learn too, and there's nothing wrong with them.
Yeah, and apart from that, you need to respect each other's, innit?
Yeah.
That's just how it should be.
Well, it's bullying. It's a form of bullying. If you're going to criticize him for the way he looks, if you're going to be making him feel bad for something it's not even a case of it's out of his control. He would have to change himself in order to fit your image. That's not right.
No, it's not right. It's not right. And so your second subject, I would like to say, in relation to men. So this is your book, yeah?
Yeah.
So part 1, Elizabeth Hamilton, yeah?
Yeah.
So who don't know should know. So it's in relation to men. So introduction. For many years, I've had very dim view of men. I've not had a permanent, decent male role model in my life growing up. I did meet a few males in my childhood, teenage years, and beyond, who gave me great hope for the future. Give thanks to Mr. Denroy Morgan, Mr. Balmore Ellis, Columbus, Mr. Essagai, Honeybee, Mr. Leroy Jeffrey, Mr. What's that? Lassell Williams, and Mr. Linford Sweeney, Aki Mundle, and Kimai Walker, to name a few. Because of these men, I believe that things could be so much more, days could get brighter, and that's not all men are the same. So that's a very, very deep introduction, to say the least. So you've not had a proper male role model in your life growing up?
No.
Well, that's not your fault. So let's just get that clear.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm saying, are you saying that the guys you've met really wasn't like the type of guys you was looking for, or the men wasn't in those guys that you'd expect? Tell me.
Okay, so if I say I was raised in 12 tribes, yeah.
Selassie.
Yes, ja. And my grandparents were Seventh-day Adventists.
Okay.
And then my mum enrolled me into Brownies and Girl Guides.
Okay.
So throughout this, in every single one of these different religions or spiritual beliefs, there's the Bible. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's one of the books that I first formed and first was given an impression of how men could be, should be, are different ways that they can be from the Bible.
Yes.
Yep. It tells you about how to find a virtuous man. It tells you about how to find a virtuous woman, how to find a wholesome man. Yeah. So now my impression of what I met was so different from what was esteemed
in
the book as being what it should be. I was also brought up on reggae music, so I also heard all of these songs like A Man Is Just a Man, No Man Is an Island, all of these songs. Listening to a lot of the old time songs that my mum heard, they explained a lot about how a man thinks, how he feels about himself, how he feels about the opposite gender, how he feels about that interaction relationship. Sometimes they even explained how they felt about the mother, in some of these songs. So you hear all of this and you're learning it growing up, and then you see the relationships happening around you, and you see the women that are happy and prosperous, and the children are happy, these things. And then you see the ones where there's gaps, there's spaces.
So let me ask you this, without cutting you, even though I just did. What age was your first relationship that you could say, actually, that was your first relationship that you've had? That
are you talking male-female relationship?
As in a proper relationship, because we're talking about men here. Right?
Yeah, we're talking about. Well, my first relationship is the one with my father. The first relationship is the one with my father.
So maybe I'm misinterpreting the whole relation thing then, because I'm going off relationship as in man and woman. I know you're talking relation to your dad in sense, but I'm talking about relationship as in, because you said you didn't really have that many great and what you expected of certain men wasn't what. So that's what I'm saying. So I'm talking about the relationship itself, like, is that not what this is about?
Yeah, it's about all of it though. It's about all of it.
Yeah.
So then when I say relationships and things that I'd seen, even relationships between father and daughter, I witnessed relationships that were nothing like my relationship. I lived with siblings.
So is that a good or bad? Because this is what we need to understand. So that's where I'm trying to, you know. So, for example, the relationship with your dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. In relation to your dad, because
my dad is the first man in my life, so he's going to give me the first impression of how a man should treat me.
Yes.
You know what I mean, or how I should be expected to be treated by a male.
I know, but then in the book you said that you've not had a great role model.
Because my father has many children.
Okay.
Many children. I'm still meeting my siblings up to this day.
Okay.
And
so
that's why. So I say, even as a father, I don't believe that my father knew how to be a father.
Okay.
I don't think he knew himself as a man to know how to be a father. Yeah. If my father had known himself as a man, each one of his children would have known each other from a very young age, so that by the time we were all teenagers and forming our own paths in life, we would have had links to every single channel that we needed.
So how many siblings have you got? Are you aware of them? Do you know?
Yeah, I'm not going to say it on camera.
Okay.
A lot.
A lot.
There's a very lot.
Wow.
We're talking lots of tens.
Lots of tens.
Lots of tens.
So it's not 1, 2, 3. It sounds like many tens.
No, lots of tens.
Wow. Wow.
So
well, your father sound like a great man.
Yeah, well, he believes so, and I guess that's how he's been treated in Africa at the moment. But if we had all known each other, if I explain to you, I have a brother that's an actor, I have a brother that's a producer, I have a brother that's a singer, I have a sister that's a singer, I have a sister that's a teacher. I have do you know the many talents that we have
in the family?
Our children wouldn't have had to go anywhere really to get advice on anything other than where we directed them in the family, and that's called a dynasty. When you have so many children, you can't just be having them for having them sake. You need to be having them for a reason. You know what I mean? And if it's not to build a legacy for yourself, then why are you doing it? It just causes pain in all of these females' lives because they have to carry the weight of you creating a whole life that you had no intention of doing anything for. And it's a weight. It's a very big weight.
That's a very big story as well, because for you to be saying what you're saying now, which is very realistic, it's just a lot of people won't say it the way it is. But obviously a spade is a spade. So you have to call it what it is. Because I say the same thing. With all my kids, they have to know each other. You know what I mean? And that's why people always see me with my kids. They're different mums, but regardless, they need to be together and they need to know that, listen, so I totally understand where you're coming from in the point you made.
Well, I admire the way that you are with your girls. I just totally admire. I mean, every time I see you with a post up or whatever, I've got to put a love on it, because to see that, I mean, not only are you teaching your children about each other and who you are, separate from what they've been told you are, they're also seeing who each other is. Not only that, they're learning that next level. You know, daddy is running a business and this is what it takes. So if daddy's at business and I'm with daddy, I've got to learn the business too. Me going in and having your daughter serve me one day, I wish I was a lot more out there and open and, you know, filming all the time, because you would see so many times this community makes me feel so elevated. And seeing that day when she served me, it was just beautiful. Things like that, they make me glow. I feel like I'm charging up.
You're right. So move on to the second relationship now, which would have been personal.
Okay, so the next personal relationship that I had, proper personal relationship that I had, I'd say that the boy was younger than me, and I was a young girl as well. I was 14 at the time, 13, 14, and I'm looking down. I don't know why. I'm not embarrassed about this relationship. He was so much more mature than his years. So much more mature.
So you was 13, 14, and he was younger than you?
Yeah, he was a year younger, but he was way mature than guys that were a year older than me.
Probably watched too much TV. I watched his mum and dad too.
Well, I think it had been from his experience of his mum and dad's relationship, and he had a younger brother, and just the role that he had taken on in his own household. He'd started affirming the kind of man that he wanted to be from young years, and a lot of boys that age, they're not thinking about them things. You know what I mean? Where he was, and that was very alluring to me.
So how was that relationship for you?
He was very protective of me. We were young though, like I'm saying, we were young.
I know, and without being disrespectful, I wouldn't really class that as a
proper relationship.
So my question would be more directed to
the next man. I'd went for a man that was 8 years older than me.
So at what age was that?
15.
So at 15, someone was 8 years older than you. So that the person
I
was 23.
didn't go for him. He came for me. Yeah.
Okay, so he came for you.
Yeah.
So did you lie to him, or how did?
No, he knew my age. He knew I don't lie to men there's no point in me lying to a man in order for him to look at me differently, because then he's not going to be looking at me.
No, I know what you're saying, but in that time, you know, because a lot of girls do that.
I was never a girl that did that.
Yeah,
I didn't need to do that. I was very developed for my age.
But at 15, was that not a crime?
No, we didn't do anything. We didn't get intimate until after I was 16.
Okay.
He actually waited a good how many months after that as well.
Well, we'll let you out.
He actually waited a good many months after that as well.
Okay, that's good.
That's shocking when I tell people that, because what they know of him, they can't believe that he would have waited. You know what I mean? But to me, I thought he was trying to prove to me that he liked me, you know, that he was really serious about me, and this is why he...
And how long did that relationship last?
On and off for, for 3 to 4 years. Yeah.
So maybe take it to about 19.
Yeah. When I moved back down here.
Moved back to Manchester.
I literally finished with. He didn't even know, but I finished with him the night he'd said something to me at a party.
Yeah.
And I had an out of body experience.
And you just.
And literally at that point there, I knew that I had to go. If I didn't go, I'd be with him for the next how long, just accepting everything, because I was feeling way too much for this man, and he was not feeling that way. I wasn't that manipulative that I was. When I look back now, looking back and seeing things now, I see that he liked young girls. And I realised that when you're that age, especially if you don't have a father figure,
you're vulnerable.
Very vulnerable.
Yeah, very vulnerable. And I don't believe in things like that, because at the end of the day, you know, I say you need to protect the vulnerable, and you can't really take. But then that's so the next chapter is chapter 1, basically the first male chapter. Chapter 1.
So that's my dad.
So so you assist my mother in the natural biological conception of my physical being. Honor thy mother and father, that thy days might be longer on this earth. My mother drummed this very verse in my mind, lest I forget.
Yes.
So I grew knowing my mother as a single parent to 4 daughters, a wife for a short time, which seems so much longer than
it does now.
Always a hard worker, apart from when she was calling for me to come upstairs and pass her the remote.
Yeah, the remote. That would be lying.
Right, that's right.
Do you know about them ones?
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? Yeah. So
I just want to give you something to do.
Yeah, exactly. So just running through the book roughly, So this one we've got my brother Barrington.
Yeah.
I'd lived with my mother, who was not his mother, for nearly 2.5 years, and had attended primary school with my sisters. He was in the year below my maternal elder sister, and the year above the other. His own mother had felt that he desperately required the guidance of our father at his age. Luckily, my mother was able to play the stepmother role to him at that point in time, which guaranteed him a much softer nurturing than a missionary discipline that would be instilled by my father and my father parental offerings. So Barrington came and lived with you guys, and your mum took him on as a son.
Yeah.
Because she didn't have a son.
She did have a son.
Sorry.
I didn't know that. Well, I was a baby. But she does have a son. Only my mum had adopted her son out at birth.
Okay.
So she'd taken. I found out that afterwards.
Okay.
But she'd taken on. She was with my dad at the time.
Yes.
His mother had given him to my dad, so my dad had brought him to my mum.
Okay. Well, your journey is so like a very colourful one.
No, well, it has been in meeting the siblings along the line and the family discussions that we have. And
so, who was Teddy?
Who was Teddy?
Yeah.
Teddy was the boyfriend that you say you don't think that's really a relationship.
Okay, so Teddy.
I do, Teddy.
Yo, Teddy. Yeah, sorry, Teddy, that I'm disrespecting him, but you know what I mean? Yeah. So this one says
JD, yeah,
Daddy Issues, chapter 5. JD was my older man. Yeah. Oh, okay. So
yes, that's right.
Sorry, I'm sorry. But JD was my older man, 8 years my senior. So that's what you just told us about.
That's
basically.
Who I just told you about, yeah.
But what catches me is the
daddy issues.
It's the daddy issues, but this is not actually your daddy.
Right, so
but
now
he's got daddy. So explain
No,
that.
he didn't have the daddy issues.
So,
I had the daddy issues.
Because he was older.
Yeah, so I'm looking for that father figure still because I don't have that. I didn't realise it then. It's looking back now through psychology of it. So you see, Freud has an analysis about men and how they are with their females, because of the way that they want to be with their mothers again.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. But I believe that also happens with females.
Okay.
We also tend to try and find what was missing in the father we didn't have in our men sometimes. So that's why I call that daddy issues, because that's what I believe was happening during that period in time.
So we go from there, we go to a fresh start. So is that when you came back to Manchester?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the fresh start, I had a new flat, was working 2 jobs and enjoying my new life. I had reconnected with those from my past who had remained my friends while living in Yorkshire, and I was ready to date again. Levi had asked me out for a couple of times, and I've had to told him that he would see me again if it was meant to be. He surprisingly tracked me down. How did he do that?
Ask me. Ask me.
So who is Levi?
Levi is my daughter's father.
Okay. That's your eldest daughter, yeah?
Yeah, I've only got the one daughter. So yeah, just the one daughter. So yeah, she is her father. I think I expected of Levi more than he was willing. I mean, I think when we began the relationship, he was being dishonest anyway because he was with somebody and I didn't know.
Okay.
I'd finished with him, and then a little later I found out I was pregnant. So then I told him about it, and it was after that he actually came and confessed that he was with somebody, he was living with them, etc., and that he wanted to make a go at being a father, and if I'd let him take part in his child's life, and I would never put.
So he didn't have any kids at that time with his partner.
No? He didn't have any children.
So that was his first daughter as well.
Yeah, it was his first daughter.
Yeah. Well, is it fair to ask this question? Is Levi a Rasta man?
He's not.
Oh, he's not?
He's not.
Okay. Bless up Levi. Yeah.
No, Levi's definitely not a Rasta man.
That's the name, you know.
No, I gave him that name.
Oh, is it you that gave him that name?
Yeah, so everybody in the book, it's not their actual names that it is, because I didn't want to implicate anybody in anything.
That's right.
I'm trying to get a message out, not put blame on anybody.
Yes, that makes sense. So this one goes, an act of commitment, chapter 7.
Yeah.
He was my other half, my forever, my Mr. Right for me, or so I had thought. I'd felt it to a point, the only man who had gotten a yes straight away in answer to his proposal, with no words in between. It was expected but unpredicted at the time it arrived. It was romantic, embarrassing, adorable, very public and comedic. You could have almost described it as well thought through performance. Everything I would never have asked for, and it worked. So before you get into that, has someone proposed to you before that?
Yeah, but I've had proposals before that. Yeah.
Is that Teddy?
No.
Okay, because Teddy, your relationship don't count, Teddy.
No, Teddy didn't propose to me. I had other proposals from other people, but I just wasn't. No. Some of the proposals were not actually proposals of love. It was just proposals for marriage.
Oh, as in overseas.
Yeah.
Okay,
as in,
so
yeah.
it's documents wise.
Yeah.
Okay, so it wasn't the real thing. But would it be fair to say that you probably wasn't feeling that same feeling that you felt for whoever that person would ask you before? Because maybe if you had that love...
I wasn't in a relationship with some of them. There was one person that was in a relationship that asked me twice.
Yeah.
There was 2 people that had asked me for money, and at the time I probably should have just said yeah, because $5 grand was a lot in them days, but At the time, I was like, "Oh no, you got to pay more for my name."
Okay.
At the time, I thought I was hot. No, honestly, at the time, I thought I was hot. I
Yeah.
had a slamming figure. I was like, "If
Listen.
I'm gonna be your wife, you don't know what you're getting with this package. You're gonna have to pay more for that."
You're gonna have to pay. It's unpredicted, isn't it? Yeah. So tell us about this person, the other half now. Did you end up getting married?
No, obviously we got engaged. We had a big engagement party. Anybody that's in Manchester or Leeds that came down to it, thank you very much for your attendance and everything. And it was blessed for a good while.
So okay.
What happened?
Well, you don't have to say what happened because we don't want to get too deep. People have to read the book. So remember, the whole reason is for someone to read the book and get the whole story. And the book is called In Relation to Men. It's on Amazon.
Waterstones, W.H. Smith.
Everywhere. Yeah. So just go and get it. So it's a very good read. Yeah. So now we're going to chapter 3A.
Okay.
So this is best before the 492.
Yeah.
So that seemed like a significant day.
Yeah.
So we walked in through the back door. It felt as if time had slowed down, as everything seems to be in slow motion. As soon as his mother saw him, she began a torrent of accusation. Her face frowned. So how did we start this chapter? Have I started it to think?
Yeah, you started it a little bit in.
Yeah, because it sounds like
you sound like you're missing a bit.
Yeah. So it's soil chapter 3. Is that what it's called?
So it starts off with soiled, which is the beginning of chapter 3, and then chapter 3 is broken down into 3 parts.
Mm-hmm. So who did you tell? Asked Eric. I thought about the question. So who did you tell? Because what's this about?
Who did I tell?
Yeah.
Who did I tell?
So 1 second. So let me finish this bit now. I told someone. I told 2 people. I thought long and hard about the answer, and then it struck me like a jolt of electric through my internal organs. My eyes felt like they were glitching. Then that short, sharp pain shoot through my nasal bridge, and water fell from my lower eyelid. Had I convinced myself for years that I had done enough, when the disturbing truth was that I had not done much at all. So soil strategy. What was this one about? Because this one sounded a bit serious.
Yeah, so that chapter is when I talk about being gang raped. And so it starts off with who did you tell? So I'm literally writing it as the conversation happened and what was happening to me when I was thinking about the answer, etc. And realizing like, wow, I actually thought I'd done more than that. Did I just close up so much like that from then? And if I closed up so tightly like that then, what has that meant for the rest of the time, that all of the relationships that I had after that, all of the men that I've been involved with after that, and the eyes that I've been looking through, and where I've been standing when I've been looking through those eyes.
So can we just go back a bit more to the thing? So at what age was it being
what was the best before date?
Okay.
You see?
So that's the fortnight.
Yeah, I like wordplay.
Yeah, okay. So without knowing your age, how old was you then?
I was 12.
Wow. 12. Wow. So how long did you keep that for to yourself?
Well, what had happened is within the first couple of people that I told, I actually got a real bad backlash from that, and then that just sort of pushed me into just a really tight space that felt like I couldn't get out of it.
Wow.
Yeah, so just it sort of pushed me into a corner. But the only thing I could do then was just literally brace myself with blades. So anybody that came, I had to be as sharp as anything to just stop them getting in.
Wow. So what age did you tell your mum? Like how?
My mum didn't find out till I was 20 when I was pregnant with my daughter.
Wow.
I had tried to tell her a couple of times before, but I feel like it's maybe a generational thing with a lot of that generation. They don't tend to like to talk about things that hit nerves, and or they tend to not like to delve into certain things that they feel it's past and gone type of thing. So yeah, not to get hearty about it, but
sorry for hearing that, but it's very bad because basically at that age, that was very, very, yeah, that was mostly traumatic, and dealing with it on your own without telling anyone or having anyone believe in you at that time must have done a lot to you, like, you know, mentally, you know, must have drained you out.
Yeah, well, it was the case of there wasn't a point where I was actually going to when I was screaming inside myself, and I wanted to go and tell my brothers and whatever, and then another incident happened that kicked off, that just threw that out the window, and then seeing how that incident had gone made me think maybe it's best not. I don't tell them about this incident
because
now.
it's probably
You know, because what I had imagined originally would happen if I had told them, it could have been that was probably just a little capsule of what would have happened.
It's mad though. So can I ask you did any of those boys or guys at the time, did any of them held them responsible for what happened? Or
It's really, really sad you say that, because there was one guy came to me years and years and years later after I had my daughter. He'd become a father as well, and he apologised to me, acknowledged it, and apologised just out of the blue. Wow. Literally just randomly. One day I was up there at Carnival, and I'm walking round to Stapleton stores, and just off the corner of what's that road called? Anyway, anyone that knows Leeds will know where I'm talking. And he apologised to me, and he acknowledged me. In that moment, I felt like I was coming back, like, even though I was still someone, I was a mom, and I was this, you know, I was who I was. But now you've given me back a piece of me from then. You know what I mean? It was empowering. It was really empowering. That he was ready to acknowledge his wrongs and come and apologise to me about it.
I've got to give you a lot of credit though, because what I must say, there's a lot of women who've been through situation like those, and they felt like they can't speak about it or they can't come forward, and it must have taken a lot out of you to think that you're gonna come forward and, like, you know, tell your story. Brave is not even the word, because you know, brave can be stupid sometimes, you know. So I don't even give it brave. I think it's just courage, everything, you know what I mean, like just being consistent, fighting, trying to make sure that, you know what I mean, you stay strong, and you must have had some form of support network behind you to, like, you know, maybe family wise, sisters, whoever, brother, I don't know.
No, my sisters weren't aware of it, anything like that. No. I had, you know what? So I have a group of friends in Leeds. Shout out to my girls. I have a group of friends in Leeds, and one of us is no longer here now. God rest her soul. Vanessa, my heart. Vanessa, she was the first one to actually come and sit down and say, well, this is what's been said out there. You know what I mean? What's your version of it? Why is it? Because something had happened. We'd gone out one night and somebody had said something, and I don't know if we'd almost got into a fight the night, and I'd been triggered by something that they didn't think I would be triggered by.
Okay.
So they were now asking. Now it seems like it's related to this. Yes. So what is it that had happened? And they were like, you know, just talk your piece. It's up to you. Can only speak your truth. Whether we believe you or not is up to us. But we're here to listen. And she made everybody just show up and give me the space to talk. And that was the first time that I'd spoken about what had happened. Wow. Since telling the two people that I told originally. The difference between the space that they gave me and what they allowed for me after that was so different to what I was experiencing from people that were just accusing me of this and accusing me of that and calling me this and feeling about me because of that, and none of it have you ever asked me about. You know, you've never came and spoken to me about anything. You've heard something and then you've taken that on. You've never actually come and spoken to me about it.
I know, but whatever they heard, they must have heard that you was the victim.
No, that's not what they heard. Oh. See, what had happened is, straight after it happened, before we got into the house where the boy's mum was shouting at him, the ringleader of the guys had said, if you go and tell your brother or you tell anyone, and we're going to say this. Oh. So when I told the first two people, one of them went back to him straight away, and he, within literal minutes of denying it to her, started telling people what he said he was going to tell people.
So then that kind of counteract your story.
Of course it does. If people think that you're a slut and you're letting people run battery on you, then they just think you're a hoe. You know what I mean? Just the other day, I got told by somebody close to me that I was known as a man taker, as a man thief. I don't
I know,
know
but you see, realistically,
how that happens.
what I was reading on the thing, all these guys was older than you.
No, well, not all of them were older than me. Not all of
You
them
said
were
three
older
of them.
than me.
How many of them you said was five?
Yeah, not all of them were older than me. 3 of them were older than me,
Okay.
and then 2 of them were younger than me.
Okay.
But they were all under the age of 16, and that was my point. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we were all
Kids.
children.
Yes.
So we were all. There was somebody responsible for each and every one of us. So my mum may not have known what was happening to me because she was busy working and trying to start this new life. And it would have been, and I know it was much harder for her doing that because we'd moved to Leeds because we'd had a death threat in Manchester. So that's why we moved to Leeds. So she was really just starting everything afresh. We had to just leave everything more or less.
And like you said, she was a single mum as well.
Yeah.
So it was very hard for her to really.
See, and even that now, I have to question that now, because who the death threat came from, who the message of the death threat came from, not the death, who the message of the death threat came through. That person's now sat in a cell. You know what I mean? For paedophilia. So I have to question whether that was the truth or if he just wanted my mum out of the way because, you know, for whatever reason, I don't know, you know, but there's so many things now, and in this second book, in the next book, and the second book and the third book, a lot more is revealed about this situation, so I'm not going to talk too much about it.
Yeah. Well, I've got to say, you've been through a lot, you know what I mean, just trying to, and you're still here, trying to stay strong, and, you know what I mean, just be there, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because it doesn't change anything hiding behind cordons or staying in the shadows. It doesn't change anything. It just means that same cycle continues for my children's generation, and then that continues for my grandchildren's generation, and that's not what I want, you know. I think I was a little bit different than most people around me because I was trying to do things a lot differently to get a different outcome.
Yes, but there's nothing wrong with being different, you know, and I always say that people have to try and be different, you know, but in the good way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you don't want to just be anyone. I believe in leaders, and people should be a leader. Not everyone should be a follower. And if you want to be a leader, then I think you have to be different in somewhat ways. You know what I mean? You have to show that difference in somewhat ways. And I think you show that in more than one ways, you know, with the person you are, your personality. And yeah, even this book. So like we say, everyone make sure you go out, get the book in relation to men. Yeah. So it's a good read, very good read. So where can they find it? It said on Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Waterstones, W.H. Smith.
Yeah.
Every good bookstore now.
Yeah. All right. So make sure you guys.
You can get it in Coffee Nubia if you're in Manchester, or at Tasha's hair studio on the High Street as well. And there's another couple of places, but I can't remember.
Yeah, don't worry. But once they Google, they will find it.
That's
because
it.
Yeah. So there it is, guys. Yeah. Make sure you guys get a read. It's a very good read. Yeah. So Naomi, I'm gonna say thank you today.
Thank you.
For the interview. Very nice talking to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a good story. It's a very interesting story to say the least.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why you have to know that the strong black woman, then when you see them, you have to give them respect, because them still keep a smile on, them still do what them have to do, them still be a mom, still be a sister, still be everybody. You understand? Yeah, in the community, and still trying to lead the community at the same time. So it's a good hi. It's a very good way to lead. So I must say, keep up the good work and carry on doing what you're doing, you know, with yourself, with your kids, for the community, you know what I mean, in every way that you are. Yeah, with the book, part 2.
Yeah, that's coming soon. It's coming soon.
So yeah, just keep doing the work, and
yeah,
you know,
part 2 is juicy. Part 2 had to be pulled back and re-edited. And I refuse to edit again. How it is today, how things stand today, is how it's coming out.
Yeah, okay. Okay. No revenge.
No, there's no
Okay,
revenge
there's no
lessons.
revenge.
I don't do revenge
Okay,
because
okay.
I'm Karma's good friend.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
really good friends with Karma.
Alright.
I live my life not doing any harm or intentionally
Yes.
doing anything bad to anybody.
Yes.
So therefore, I know Karma's on my side. You know, I've experienced a lot that has been bad
So
without giving bad. So I know that if I don't give bad, Karma will stay on my side.
exactly. So you know that's not you. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a revenge person. I'm here to try and enlighten, empower, and make things better. And if I can't do that, then I'll just stay away from you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, though. Yeah. Peace out. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Yeah. Must I Talk TV. Yeah. So thanks everyone here for watching. Yeah. Thank you.